everybody, Ryan here, coming at you with a different video than I've ever done, but that's okay because I think it's going to be a really good video. Hopefully it'll cause a lot of discussion and you guys will be entertained by it and will get engaged and, leave comments on movies on the same topic. And as you can tell by the title, I'm going to be talking about films that people usually consider terrible, or that's really cool to hate these films. Some of these aren't really necessarily films that are hated. They're just films that maybe were like panned and people just didn't really talk about. And they just had a lot of problems with it. So I basically was just looking through my collection today because earlier I got in a discussion with somebody on Instagram about one of the films that I'm going to be talking about. And I started thinking, oh, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and make a video on this because, yes, I love movies, I love cinema, I love important films. I guess you could say I love a lot of the films that, those cinephiles always say they like, Citizen Kane, all that stuff. I like important films. I'm not one of those kind, though, that only prefer those kind of movies. I'm not one of those people that crap on movies just because they're terrible. Mainly, nowadays you hear people crap on, like, Adam Sandler movies a lot, and they just really put so much energy into being negative about these movies when he wants to make these kind of movies. He just wants to get together with friends and basically make a bad movie that's entertaining. Yeah, it might not be entertaining to you, but there is an audience out there that thinks it's pretty entertaining. I'm one of those. So yes, while I, consider myself somebody who loves film of all, countries and ages and all that stuff and genres, I like so-called terrible films. And that's just because I look at film very optimistically, and I really don't think negative about a lot of films. Like, if I really thought about it, there's not really a lot of movies I hate. There's some that I didn't like, or I went back and visited it later and didn't, I'm not one of those that go out of my way and say, I hate that movie. I just say, well, maybe I just wasn't really into that because that's not for me. It's not my cup of tea. There's people out there that just completely rail against people that like certain movies, or they're like saying, I hate this. It's like they jump on the hate bandwagon. There's enough hate in this world. I'm not going to spend time talking about a subject that I love and just build in that hate into it, because I hate watching rant-type videos against a film, against a filmmaker. It's cool to hate Michael Bay. Yeah, he's not the greatest director ever, but I just don't like that whole jumping on Michael Bay bandwagon crap when you're talking crap about a movie that hasn't even came out yet, like the Ninja Turtles thing, all that stuff. And this was, before Ninja Turtles came out. And whether you agree and say the movies are good or not that these people make, I just don't like to give in to that kind of negativity. So I decided to, make a video, hopefully cause some discussion about movies that people just don't like, or they just are just known as being bad movies. And I'm just going to talk about them. And hopefully there's some of you out there that feel the same way, and you don't feel like you need to be pushed into a corner or something like that for liking some of these movies. So, like I said, I don't think any of these movies are terrible. Some are just bad movies, but they're supposed to be bad. In that kind of aspect, whatever. So let's go ahead and get started. I just picked a few. There's so many more that I could probably grab. I didn't want to make a super long video about it, but in no particular order. This is a movie that came out, and I was really looking forward to it because I loved the books, and I'm a big history nerd. And this is Gods and Generals. This was the, I guess you could say, the prequel to Gettysburg, directed by Ronald F. Maxwell. It's based on, the book series, and this was really, looked forward to by a lot of people. But when it came out, I think mainly because of its length and slightly wooden acting in some areas, because it's such a huge production. It's a 280-minute movie. People did not go see this. It failed in theaters. It was a flop. And the financing, I guess, fell through for the last installment in this series. But I think it's a brilliant film. I don't necessarily hear a lot of hate about this. People just say it's boring, maybe too long and stuff. I always loved this. When it came out in theaters, me and my dad actually went and saw it in theaters, and it was pretty entertaining because of the fact that they had an intermission, and it was a pretty awesome experience. So, Gods and Generals. Next are films I've talked about in a video recently in my update, and that is the Transformers movies. It's mainly the second one that was really critically panned. Everybody hated it, fans hated it, and I always told the story about when I started watching it the first time, I fell asleep, I couldn't stand it. Then I went into it with an open mind, you know, a few years later when I bought this past year, and I liked it. Yeah, it was heavily flawed, but I liked it. It was fun. That's what I want when I go to movies sometimes. It's fun. You know, in fact, I think when I watched this, it was like after I watched Sancho the Bailiff for like the third time, and so I was like emotionally destroyed. And so like when I saw the second one, when I decided to put it in, I needed a lighter, entertaining action film to get me out of the mood. Sancho the Bailiff is one of the most powerful movies I've ever seen, and I guess some people are probably thinking, damn, he followed up Sancho the Bailiff with freaking Transformers Revenge of the Fallen? Not necessarily, but I needed something lighter. But I wanted something a little, like, you know, an epic feel, because these movies have that epic feel to them, whether you like them or not. They're long, you know, and I don't really have a problem with these films anymore. I actually like them. So if you want to hear me talk more about these, check out my last DVD update that I just put up a few days ago. I go further in depth with these. Next is Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. This is, you know, usually considered the worst of all the Star Wars films, especially the prequels. Some people, you know, debate whether this one is considered the worst or not, but overall, if you ask anybody which one is your least favorite, most people will say this because of the, you know, the cheesiness of the, maybe some of the romance and stuff involved with it, and I completely understand what you're coming from, or where, you know, that argument's coming from, but some of the political intrigue and the complex plot surrounding the actual, you know, the Empire taking over, and all the backstory that doesn't have anything to do with the romance, it's actually pretty awesome. I really love, and I'm a huge Star Wars nuts, I mean, of course I like it, but I love the investigating that Obi-Wan Kenobi does in this film, and I think, what I think would have been really awesome is if this movie was done with practical effects. Like, I know we live in an age where, you know, George Lucas would never have just used practical effects, but if he made this film like he did in the 70s and early 80s, it would have been so much better, I think. Even some of the street stuff reminded me of like Blade Runner type atmosphere, and I think it could have been way better. But I still like it because it is a Star Wars film. There's also people out there that don't even consider this a part of the Star Wars franchise, and I completely get where you're coming from. I just don't have time to deal with all that, so Episode 2. Next is a movie I've talked about a lot, and it's Oliver Stone's Alexander. This is the revisited cut that was re-edited, and it's 213 minutes, gives it more of an epic feel, changes the way it tells the story a little bit, and I think it highly improves over the original theatrical cut, which I didn't really like. And then I gave the director's cut a chance, didn't care for it as too much, and then this came out, and I wanted to give this a chance, and I was blown away. I loved it, and I love this film. Next is a film that people, I guess, were just let down by, and that is J. Edgar, directed by Clint Eastwood, starring Leonardo DiCaprio. Once again, I understand somebody with such a rich history and so much stuff you could have talked about with his life. It just felt too condensed, but that did not take away from my entertainment value of this film, or me enjoying it, I guess I should say. And I still really, really liked it. And yeah, so this is another bad movie that I really like. The next one is probably, people consider probably the worst movie out of this whole batch, and that is Grown Ups 2. When I pulled this up, I'm really actually talking about Grown Ups 2 and a lot of the Adam Sandler films. He tries to make films funny, and he just wants to have a good time, so the movies are really stupid. Well, he's not trying to make The Godfather. He's not even trying to make a great comedy. He's just trying to make a fun movie. And so there's only one Adam Sandler film I do not like, and that's Little Nicky. I never really, really cared for it at all. But Earlier today I was watching Jack and Jill. It was on TV. Terrible movie. I mean, I like it, but it is terrible. It's straight up horrific at some points. You're like, Al Pacino is just embarrassing himself. But I laughed. Sometimes you need, I feel like in life you need, you know, stupid laughs, stupid funny. And it doesn't necessarily have to be smart stupid like Dumb and Dumber would probably be considered as, to where it's stupid but it kind of has some smarts to it. Sometimes I just need something stupid just because I gotta, you know, and some of you guys probably out there think the same thing. But I really love Adam Sandler movies. I really love Blended. When that came out, I think it was unfairly judged. I don't know what people were expecting, but I went into it with no expectation at all. And I loved every single second of it. I laughed so hard the whole time. Some really stupid parts, but I enjoyed it. Next is a movie that I watch probably like once a month, and I love quoting it. I love joking. I mean, I just love it. Couples Retreat. I know that kind of a letdown with everybody, but you know, yeah, it was stupid, but it's funny at the same time. So I still watch this all the time. And it's directed by Peter Billingsley, a kid from Christmas Story. Next is a film that I don't really even know if it was panned or anything when it came out, but I never ever hear anybody talk about it really anymore at all. And I think the cast is, you know, amazing. And that is Celtic Pride with Daniel Stern, Dan Aykroyd, Damon Wayans, Christopher McDonald's in this movie too, and it's actually written by Judd Apatow. So I actually really enjoyed this film, and it was always one of my favorites. I think I saw it on like TV, uncut or cut, like when I was younger, and I don't know. It's just a really fun movie. Basically, these two guys are Celtics fans, and they kidnap the opposing team's best player, so the Celtics will win, and it's just hilarious. If you watched the Blu-ray Brothers channel this week, you saw that I talked about this film, and it's one of the Ed Wood films, and it's Plan 9 from Outer Space. It's a film that's considered the worst film of all time, but I think it is so bad, it is good. It's highly entertaining. So that's pretty much it for this video. Let me know down below what movies that you hate, or that everybody likes, or movies that you like that everybody hates. Let me know down below. Thank you very much for watching. Please give me a thumbs up. Please share, comment, and subscribe. And it looks like I'm actually about to hit 1,000 subs. So I'm very thankful for each and every one of you who have actually subbed to me over the last few years that I've been on YouTube. Thank you very much, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.